All right, welcome in everyone to a deep dive that's going to take us into a world you might find intriguing, maybe even a bit controversial.
Yeah.
We're exploring poly relationships,
Mm.
but not just in a general sense.
Right.
Our source material today is an ebook
Okay.
called The Power of Many: Building, Thriving, and Leading in Poly Relationships.
Wow.
And let me tell you, it brings a unique perspective.
It sounds like it does.
It really does.
Yeah.
So,
Right off the bat,
yeah,
you'll notice that this book isn't your typical relationship guide.
right.
It's written by Yo Boy Rick, also known as Young Rick, or Mac Rich,
Okay.
and it's specifically for men leading poly relationships with women.
So we're not talking about casual flings here.
No, not in
This is about building
Right.
a structured tribe or family, as the book calls it.
Yeah, tribe. I like that.
And it starts by getting very specific about definitions.
Exactly. The book distinguishes between polyamory,
Okay.
open relationships,
Yeah.
and what it calls poly relationships, the specific model it advocates.
Hmm.
Polyamory focuses on love and emotional connections with multiple people.
That's true.
Open relationships are more about sexual freedom within a primary partnership.
Okay.
But the poly relationships this book champions are about building a shared lifestyle and community.
So almost like more structured.
It's much more structured than simply having multiple romantic relationships.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And that's interesting because then the book dives into history and spirituality to make its case.
Yes.
And I thought that was really fascinating.
You too.
It argues that monogamy is a more recent societal construct,
Interesting.
while poly relationships have been practiced throughout human history.
And it uses some compelling examples
It does.
to illustrate this point.
Yeah.
You have ancient tribes like the Zulu,
Uh-huh.
where polygamy was a matter of survival,
Right.
forming alliances and strengthening the community as a whole.
Makes sense.
Then you have examples of royal dynasties, the pharaohs in Egypt,
Right.
emperors in China, sultans in the Middle East,
Mm-hmm.
where polygamy consolidated power, secured alliances, and ensured a line of heirs.
It's all about making sure that your line continues on, right?
Exactly.
It's interesting to even bring in examples of Native American tribes,
Yeah.
where polyamory or polygamy was deeply rooted in communal living and shared responsibility, with women sharing and parenting duties and men acting as protectors and providers.
And let's not forget the biblical figures.
Oh, that's right.
The book cites examples like Abraham, King David, and Solomon,
Yeah.
highlighting the concept of building a village through multiple partners.
Right, a concept that it then connects to modern polyfamilies.
Exactly, bringing it all together.
It's clear the book is making a point
Yes.
that having multiple partners wasn't always viewed as unconventional. And I think it's intriguing how the book uses these historical and cultural examples
I agree.
to challenge our modern-day assumptions about relationships.
Absolutely. This historical context lays the groundwork for the book's argument.
Yeah.
That what we consider traditional family structures may not be so traditional after all.
Totally.
And then it uses this foundation to introduce the benefits of this specific poly lifestyle it advocates for.
And those benefits are where things get really interesting for the reader,
For sure.
especially when the book dives into financial freedom
Oh, yeah.
as a major advantage.
That's right.
I mean, who doesn't love that?
The book argues that multiple incomes and shared resources
Yeah.
can lead to greater financial security and the ability to build wealth collaboratively.
Like, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You know?
He even gives the example
Yeah.
of a poly family pooling their resources to buy a home together,
Oh, wow.
something that might be much harder to achieve
Right.
for a single income household.
Especially in this economy.
It's tough out there.
And then there's the idea of parenting as a village,
Yeah,
which has always been appealing to me.
I understand that.
I can see the attraction of having built-in support,
Mm-hmm.
diverse role models,
Yeah.
and emotional stability for children within this kind of family structure.
It's not just about the children either.
Right.
Think about the emotional and practical support a poly family could offer to each adult.
Oh, totally.
You have a network of care,
Uh-huh.
shared responsibility and problem solving,
Yeah.
less risk of burnout since the burdens aren't all on one person's shoulders.
Yeah, you've got backup.
Exactly. You got a team.
It paints a picture of a life filled with unforgettable experiences, too.
Oh, for sure.
Group travel, exploring diverse hobbies and adventures as a family, celebrating milestones together.
Yeah.
The book definitely plays up the positive aspects of this lifestyle.
And let's not forget the emphasis on legacy.
Yeah.
The book argues that financial stability and shared values within a poly family
Right.
can be passed down through generations.
creating a lasting impact
Exactly.
and providing a strong foundation for future generations.
Yeah, building something that lasts.
But even with all these potential benefits, the book doesn't shy away from the challenges. True.
Inherent in poly relationships, does it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it acknowledges that jealousy and misunderstandings are practically unavoidable.
Right, because you're dealing with people.
Exactly. It's human nature.
And people are complex.
That's why the power of many stresses the importance of strong leadership,
Okay.
especially from the man at the head of the family,
Yeah.
to navigate those challenges effectively.
So you're saying that's kind of a key component here.
It seems to be.
And this is where the book introduces specific communication frameworks, right?
Exactly.
That's what really sets it apart from
Yeah.
your typical relationship advice book.
It outlines the 3C model,
Okay.
which stands for clarity, consistency, and care.
Gotcha.
And it encourages regular state of the relationship check-ins
Yeah.
to ensure everyone feels heard and understood.
Okay.
It's an attempt to provide a practical roadmap
Yeah.
for navigating the complexities of these relationships.
So almost like a how-to guide,
Kind of?
but
Yeah.
for poly relationship. In a way, yeah.
All right, interesting.
Yeah. Now, building on those communication tools,
Yeah.
let's dive into how the book tackles another potentially tricky aspect of poly relationships,
Okay.
intimacy.
All right.
And as you might expect from a book with this kind of title,
Right.
it doesn't shy away from discussing sex.
Right, because let's face it, that's often one of the first things people wonder about
For sure.
when it comes to polyamory
Right.
or any form of open relationship.
Yeah.
But the power of many actually frames it in a way I hadn't considered before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it emphasizes balancing passion with purpose.
Exactly. It's not advocating for a free-for-all
Right.
or just chasing fleeting pleasures.
Not just like hooking up with whoever you want whenever you want.
No, there's more to it.
Right.
The book stresses that intimacy,
Yeah.
even in a poly structure,
Mm-hmm.
needs to be intentional
Okay.
and approached with respect
Right.
within the dynamics of each relationship.
So it's not just about more is better. It's about finding those meaningful connections.
Yeah.
And navigating those connections in a way that honors everyone involved.
And this is where the book's emphasis on leadership comes into play again.
Gotcha.
It encourages men
Uh-huh.
to be proactive in maintaining those connections,
Okay.
to stay engaged and attentive to each woman in their lives.
That sounds like a lot to keep track of.
It can be.
In a monogamous relationship, you're primarily focused on one person.
Right.
But in this model, you're juggling multiple relationships.
Yeah.
Each with its own unique needs and dynamics.
Precisely.
Wow.
And the book even delves into what it calls playa finesse,
Okay.
which essentially means respecting boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
communicating openly,
Yeah.
and ensuring that your actions are ethical and considerate of everyone's feelings.
Okay, I admit that phrase made me chuckle a bit.
I can see why.
It definitely has a certain swagger to it,
It does.
which aligns with the overall tone of the book.
Right.
But I also see the importance of what it's getting at.
It's walking a fine line for sure.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember that this entire book is coming from a very specific viewpoint.
Right.
A man leading these poly relationships.
And let's be honest,
Yeah.
it seems geared toward a certain type of personality. Someone who enjoys the challenges,
Mhm.
the complexities,
Yeah.
and yes, even the rewards
Yeah.
of managing multiple relationships.
It's not for everyone.
Definitely not.
That's an important point to consider.
Yeah.
And it raises questions about power dynamics.
Oh, for sure.
The book advocates for strong male leadership,
Uh-huh.
but does that create an inherent imbalance?
Right.
How do you ensure that everyone's voice is heard and respected
Yeah.
when one person is positioned as the leader?
That's a good question.
It is a question the book brings up.
These are the types of questions that make this deep dive so thought-provoking, right?
Absolutely.
We're not just summarizing the book,
Yeah.
we're analyzing its ideas and considering the potential implications.
We're going deeper.
Exactly.
And even though The Power of Many emphasizes leadership as a solution
yeah.
to potential conflicts,
Hmm.
it doesn't pretend these relationships are always smooth sailing.
Of course not. You're still dealing with human beings.
Exactly.
It acknowledges that jealousy is natural,
Mm-hmm.
that misunderstandings will happen,
Yeah.
and that clear communication is absolutely essential.
All key points.
Yeah.
But then it takes an interesting turn
Okay.
by introducing a spiritual dimension
Oh, wow.
to the poly lifestyle.
Okay.
It argues that this way of living can deepen a man's connection to love, life, and abundance,
That's interesting.
even drawing parallels to ancient practices and biblical figures.
So bringing back that historical context we discussed earlier,
Exactly, full circle.
connecting these modern polyfamilies to a long lineage
Yeah.
of alternative relationship model.
And it ties that into the concept of legacy,
Mm-hmm.
which is a recurring theme in The Power of Many.
All right.
It's about creating a family,
Yeah.
building financial security,
Mm-hmm.
and establishing values that extend beyond the individual and impact future generations.
It's almost like creating a modern-day tribe
Right.
with shared goals, values,
Yeah.
and a sense of purpose that goes beyond just romantic love.
Exactly. It's about building something larger than yourself,
Wow.
a community where everyone contributes
Uh-huh.
and benefits from the collective effort.
That's powerful. You know, as we wrap up our deep dive into The Power of Many,
Yeah.
I'm struck by how this book,
Mhm.
while focused on a specific type of poly relationship,
Right.
really pushes us to examine our own assumptions about love, family,
Yeah.
and what constitutes a successful relationship.
It's been a fascinating journey through the book's unique perspective.
Right.
We've explored the historical and spiritual roots of poly relationships, delved into the potential benefits and challenges,
Uh-huh.
and even tackled some delicate topics like intimacy and power dynamics.
And through it all,
yeah,
this concept of leadership keeps coming up.
it does.
The book really hammers home the idea
Right.
that a strong, capable leader is essential
Yeah.
to making this kind of poly family work.
It's presented as the key to navigating the complexities,
Right.
resolving conflicts,
Yeah.
and creating an environment where everyone feels safe and supported.
But it also raises questions about what leadership looks like in practice.
That's one of the big questions this book leaves us pondering.
Yeah.
It makes a compelling case for its particular approach,
Mm-hmm.
but it also acknowledges that this is just one interpretation of polyamory.
Right.
There are countless other ways to structure these relationships,
For sure.
and the book's model might not resonate with everyone.
It definitely challenges us to think critically about the different ways poly relationships can function.
Absolutely.
So if the leadership dynamic shifts,
Right.
how do the other aspects of the relationship change?
That's a great question.
How do you navigate communication, finances, and even intimacy
Yeah.
when the power structure is more fluid?
And what about the role of women in these relationships?
Right.
The book focuses on men leading,
Mm-hmm.
but how does that impact the agency and autonomy of the women involved?
These are all important considerations.
They are.
And while the book doesn't provide all the answers,
True.
it definitely sparks a conversation that goes beyond simply endorsing one particular lifestyle.
It forces us to confront our own preconceived notions and biases,
All right.
even if we don't agree with the book's premise.
Exactly.
It encourages us to think outside the box
Yeah.
and explore alternative ways of relating to each other.
And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this.
I agree.
It's not about telling you what to believe,
No.
but about expanding your perspective
All right.
and giving you new insights to ponder.
We've only scratched the surface
Yeah.
of a complex and multifaceted topic.
For sure.
But hopefully this deep dive has equipped you
Mm-hmm.
with a deeper understanding of the nuances and complexities of poly relationships.
Especially as presented in The Power of Many. Exactly. You now have a framework for understanding the different types of polyamory,
Right.
the potential benefits and challenges, and the critical role of leadership, communication,
Yeah.
and intentional intimacy.
And perhaps it's even sparked some introspection
Yeah.
about your own relationship values and beliefs.
So as we wrap up,
Okay.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
What stands out to you?
Uh-huh.
What surprised you?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
questions are you still wrestling with?
Good questions.
Maybe you're considering the historical examples and how those dynamics might translate to modern life.
Right.
Or perhaps you're intrigued by the idea of a relationship village,
Okay.
but wondering how you'd navigate the potential challenges.
Yeah.
Whatever your takeaways,
Mm-hmm.
we encourage you to keep exploring,
Yes.
keep questioning,
Absolutely.
and keep diving deep.